Nearly 50 first responders are training near Mitchell this week for active shooter scenarios.
It involves everyone from your dispatchers to those first responders on the scene of an incident. On the Night Beat, KELOLAND's Carter Schmidt shares how the training works. Good evening, Carter.
Good evening, Don and Bridget. C3 Pathways, a company out of Florida, puts on the training. This is the first time they've been to South Dakota. 21 different agencies from across the state and Nebraska and Iowa made their way to Mitchell for the training. It puts first responders in these scenarios without needing to use as many resources and locations. It's a scenario these first responders never want to be in, but it's one they must be prepared for.
Most people, when they talk about active shooter events, certainly with responders, they think about the importance of getting the suspect quickly, of getting the bad guy quickly. And that obviously is a very important part of what we need to do in these horrible events. But that's not the only thing, and that's where a lot of training falls short.
Bill Godfrey is an instructor for the training, which he says involves everything from those taking calls to those holding the news conferences.
That's all part of a very important process, and if you're going to do that quickly, if you're going to do that in the shortest time possible, that takes practice, and you have to manage that, and everybody has to learn how to work together, and that's what our program focuses on.
Mitchell Police Chief Michael Koster says they've been planning this training for a couple months. He says this simulation differs from training done at multiple locations with role players.
You don't have to take a lot of equipment out of service. You don't have to take locations out of service and isolate them to get these training opportunities. Over the course of the 3 days that we're doing training, we're going to be doing about 10 different scenarios, which to do that real world in real time would just be an enormous amount of effort and inconvenience for locations.
The computer simulated scenarios, which look like a video game, take place at various locations such as courthouses, schools, airports, train stations, and so on.
A portion of the scenario that I was involved in was multiple active shooters at an airport. It was a two-phase, and I don't know where the other officers were, but there was a second scene represented there too for other responders.
By doing it in this fashion, we're able to keep people focused and keep them trained and get them to learn, practice, repeat, do better. So that's the good part of it.
The course started on Monday and will wrap up tomorrow. Koster says he's received positive feedback about the training from attendees. It is funded by the Department of Homeland Security.
All right, thanks a lot, Carter.